Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I'm Jake. Welcome to Jake's place. Give me a second to shift gears here. I love The Witcher, the books, the TV series with Henry Cavill, the games. I think I'm on my third run through of The Witcher 3, including the expansions, which is... I've played that game way too many fucking times. I'm a huge fan. So when I heard they were going to make a Witcher 4 video game, I pretty much instantly came in my pants. I'm not even joking. It was a mess. The fact that the tagline reads, "A new saga begins," alludes to the fact that this game will not be a prequel. Now, if you know anything about me, you know I fucking hate prequels, for the most part. Some are okay, most are fucking shit. So, a new saga tells us that this game is going to be set post-Witcher 3. But considering there's something like 40 different endings to The Witcher 3, the video game, at least 9 major ones, how on earth could they make a game set post those events? Now, in The Witcher 2, when The Witcher 3 came along, in The Witcher 2 you had multiple endings, but it wasn't nearly as complex as this. I mean, you're talking, does Geralt stay a Witcher? Does he end up with Triss? Does he end up with Yennefer? Does Ciri die? Which army wins? Because even though this is going to be probably centered around new characters, the whole world, the fate of Velen and Novigrad and all that shit, the major armies, the Redanian army, you know, who came out on top? All of these are multiple endings, and then you've got the endings in the expansions as well, including the fate of the Duchy of Toussaint and all this sort of shit. So how could you possibly make a game set afterwards? Well, I'm going to run through some ideas of what I would like to see in this game, and potential solutions to these problems. Spoilers for The Witcher 3, I should have said that before I said all that other shit. Here's what we do know thus far. This has been confirmed by the game developers via multiple tweets, statements, and interviews over the last few years, that the Geralt story has come to an end. All good stories have a conclusion. The fact that The Witcher was a trilogy, Witcher 1, 2, and 3, I think that that really rounds up the Geralt arc. I don't need to see more of Geralt, although they did say that cameos are not out of the question. So if it's set post-Witcher 3, this is possible. I'd like to see Geralt again. I don't need a whole other Geralt game. This world is so big, so vivid, with so many characters and monsters and all kinds of shit. I'm happy with the way things ended in The Witcher 3. Let's see some new characters. Throw in some old ones for a bit of fun, but some new ones. I'm happy to have a whole story centered around someone who's not Geralt. Also confirmed is the medallion being the School of the Lynx. As far as I'm aware, the School of the Lynx doesn't appear in any of the books. I haven't finished all the books, if I'm being honest, but I'm getting there. It doesn't show up in the game, and I think it's only been attributed to some fan fiction. So this is a new Witcher school. This has been confirmed. This will be School of the Lynx, not School of the Cat. So, is this an ancient lost Witcher school? Seems unlikely, no one's ever heard of it. Or is it a brand new Witcher school? Now this is what fans theorize. Fans theorize that Ciri or Eskel or Lambert or someone, years after the Witcher 3 events, started their own school, which could explain this unheard of medallion, the School of the Lynx. So basically, people say it's a whole new school and you're going to be starting off as a brand new, your own character, perhaps you even get your own name, and you're going to build your own Witcher from scratch, including the Trial of Grasses, where you get your cat eyes and all the magical shit and do the fucking blah, blah. So here's how I would make a Witcher 4 game, and by make, I mean, I don't know how to fucking make a game. Here's what I'd like to see. The Witcher 2 didn't have as many significant endings as The Witcher 3, which was a proper conclusion to the Geralt story. So if they were to set the game in the future, I imagine they would have to decide on the major events and just tell the players, hey, too bad. Think about it. The fate of this world was so conclusive at the end of The Witcher 3 that you would basically have to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 game storylines. It'd be like making 9 individual games. You couldn't do it. So the only way to do it would be to either have some control over it, but basically just tell the players, this is what happened. So this could piss off a lot of players. For example, in my last run through, which was my third complete run through, I made sure Ciri became the Empress. I hadn't had that ending before. Geralt ends up with Yennefer because she's a smoking hot babe. Why would you pick Triss? Anyway, taste is subjective, but Yennefer, I'm a Yennefer guy for life. Nilfgaardians won the war and restored Temeria. In my opinion, this was the most satisfying ending for me. This is all the things that I wanted to happen. But in The Witcher 4, Ciri might remain a Witcher, which is quite possible. All these other things. So all the work that I did in The Witcher 3 could be undone, which kind of pissed me off a little bit. But you know, how else are you going to do it? So to make a Witcher 4, you need new characters and settings. Basically have the game developers decide what happened at the end of The Witcher 3 for the most part. Or you could set the game miles away in a far new land and never even mention anything that's happening, what happened in the previous games, which I don't know how that would work, but that is possible. But I don't know, does that suck more than having all your work in The Witcher 3 undone? I don't know. With clever writing, he could, like, if Geralt pops in as a cameo, with clever writing you could just not mention the events, or you could allude to certain things but not confirm. And this could work, but it would be strange if Geralt didn't mention Ciri. It'd be strange if he didn't mention the fate of Novigrad, like who won, the Nilfgaardians or the Redanian army, etc, etc. Did Dijkstra die? Is he running the Novigrad now? You could do it, but it'd be odd. So aside from the fate of the world in The Witcher 3, I think the game's set in a new Witcher school where you could play as a new Witcher, your own character that you develop from scratch, would be tight. You could start post the Trial of Grasses and grow your own Witcher, hone your own skills. Obviously, you're still going to need a skill tree in there. You could create your own Witcher from scratch. Maybe you could pick your own gender, or, you know, does it have a dick? Does it have a vag? Whatever, maybe it's a combination of two, that'd be awesome. And of course, then you'd want to throw a complex storyline over the top. So here, to conclude, is what I think The Witcher 4 absolutely should be. And I probably won't give a shit anyway. It's not going to come out for years, if it even comes out at all. I mean, they said they're doing it, but who knows? Things happen, you know? Open world. If you don't like open world, too bad. I think the most alluring factor to The Witcher 3, what made it really fun, was I could just go wherever I want. I could forge my own path, more or less. You still had missions and quests or whatever, but The Witcher 4 has to be open world, in my opinion. You need a skill tree, and you need crafting. This is very important. That's a crucial element to all Witcher games, so I still want to be able to, you know, make my character, build my character a certain way, create my own armor, crafting, potions. I would like the oils and things to be more significant. And of course, the combat. This absolutely should be a third person, because I want to see my armor when I'm running around. It has to be third person. I think you could improve upon the combat. Now, don't forget The Witcher 3 was like 2016. By the time this game comes out, they're putting it on the new Unreal Engine and everything. So I think the combat would be greatly improved, because the sword fighting in The Witcher 3 really did get a bit boring after a while, at least for me. I enjoyed the story elements of The Witcher 3 more than the combat, let's say. I like the puzzle solving, but the combat was a bit weak, so improve upon that. Open world, third person, side quests, main quests, lots of monster hunting, new monsters, that'd be great. Sex scenes, I want tits, maybe a couple of dicks, let's throw them all in there and get that all going, that'd be great. The Witcher world is violent, it's gritty, it's got that medieval superstition, I want this game to be dark. It must be gritty. You can have your little comical elements in there, which it has, but it should be dark, it should be violent, it should be fucking sexy. This all has to appear in The Witcher 4. Keeping the aesthetics the same is super important. The game looks great. I'm playing it right now. This is 2022. This is, how do I do maths here? 6 years after the game came out. Still looks great in my opinion. Yeah, the graphics are a little bit thing, but I mean, aesthetically, it's fucking fantastic. The Witcher 4 must be dark, gritty, and sexy. So to summarize, set The Witcher 4, post-Witcher 3, brand new characters with some old ones coming in, and this is important. The game should be standalone. Now, I'm a huge Witcher fan, but I think this game should be accessible to people who haven't seen the show, haven't read the books, and haven't played any of the other Witcher games. But you need to put in enough references to these things to appease us diehard fans. I want cameos, but you don't necessarily need to know who that guy is for the story to progress in The Witcher 4. It should be standalone, but I want there to be a ton of references to old stuff for us mega nerds. And that's pretty much it. That's what I want in a Witcher game. Just basically lots of tits and dicks. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's all I want in life too, man. Jesus Christ. What do you expect, or what would you want to see in a Witcher 4? Should it be a prequel? Because if it's a prequel, then you don't have to worry about any of those plot points. But I don't really like prequels. I want to see what happens next in this world. I like storylines progressing. But if you did make it a prequel, you wouldn't have to worry about everything you did in The Witcher 3 being unraveled. You know, if you wanted Ciri to become the Empress, then the game developers say, no, she's going to be a Witcher, well then you've just played a 50 million hour game, and all that shit you did doesn't count for anything. You make it a prequel, you don't have to worry about that. That being said, I don't give a shit, I don't want any fucking prequels. What do you want? Leave a comment, and let's get a friendly discussion going. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to, take care of some business. Oh, yeah.